going to have a roundup of today's top stories in the world of science. Now, weather's kind of science. And
Dan's going to untangle the wires for us, right? Because this is huge. This is exactly what Dan does, a science technology expert. He's here with us. So, Dan, let's talk. We've seen the situation out in British Columbia. It is devastating. It's been deadly in some cases. Is there any chance any of this could have been better predicted, like where the rains were coming and how much?
Yeah, I mean, the great news is mathematicians and smart people are working on sort of the big picture of how we forecast these kinds of things, trying to come up with something, just a different tool in the arsenal as we try to predict these things. So there's a new paper out. It's a new technique, network-based forecasting. And the idea behind this is to, instead of trying to use conventional weather models, it's looking at bigger pictures around the globe, taking readings from different continents all over the place, feeding those into an algorithm that uses computer learning to try to predict the big picture. Using this, they've been able to predict a whole bunch of stuff way earlier than previously done. So using this new model, they've been able to predict monsoons in India instead of 5 days before they happen, 40 days before they happen. Looking at things like polar vortices coming down off the North Pole and making things very frigid in Canada for a long time. They can predict those with about a week's warning. And so these kinds of techniques are coming into play. They've not yet been applied to the West Coast for things like the flooding that we saw in BC, but used with the kinds of modeling that Bill and other great meteorologists use to predict what's coming. This could change the landscape in terms of preparedness.
Okay, Dan, and this next topic intrigues me. Want to speak more eloquently. We're in the business of speaking every day, so I'd like to learn how to improve. And the answer is heading out to the garage and building something. Is Rosetta Stone going to be in there? What's happening there?
Yeah, right. Chisel away, chisel away. Yeah, you know what? This is a really cool thing. So when you put a sentence together, and you both of you do this so well, on live television, you get halfway into a sentence and you try to figure out the pieces to get out of it without making some kind of grammatical error. It's very hard, and it's a little bit like building a machine. You've got to have all the right parts, and if you add a word, it could change the way the other parts work. It's a little bit like if you have a complex machine that you've built, a three-dimensional thing with a motor or something like that, putting another part in there and how that changes everything, how the gear ratios all change. Well, it turns out that when you scan the brains of people doing those two types of exercises, the same part of the brain lights up. They really are analogous. And in a new study that has got a lot of people very excited, myself included, they trained people on building tools, and they got better at their language. And they trained people at their language, at syntax, and they did better at building stuff. And so it really does, it's the same part of the brain, and working it out either way is going to help you in both sides of that coin.
Does it work in reverse?
Does it work for IKEA furniture?
If you can't build anything in the garage?
Yeah, no kidding. I'm kind of useless.
It's a good question. I think the idea is that if you can do live TV and you can talk into a camera and keep things flowing like you guys do, it might be that when you get out to the garage, you've got amazing skills. Or maybe it would just show up when you're playing with Lego with kids. Who knows?
Could be. I was doing a lot of that this weekend.
I always knew why I was good at assembling IKEA furniture. Now I have the answer. Thank you, Dan.
All right, well, Dan, this is always such a snappy segment, but we're going to talk about snapping our fingers. It's apparently more than a trick. It's a means of communication fine-tuned by evolution. Let's get into this one.
Yeah, so this is cool. It's not just for fighting for the Jets and the Sharks. When you snap, you send a communication out. I've always just dismissed snapping as kind of a neat thing that you learn when you're a kid, and it's not very useful, and you shouldn't use it to get the waiter's attention at a restaurant because it's very rude. But if you think about it, hunting or gathering with other people, it's a quick way to get somebody's attention at a distance without using your voice. So if your mouth is full or something, you can use it. A new study shows that our hands are built perfectly for it. The coefficient of friction in our fingers is ideally suited to make this a very fast motion. It takes about 7 milliseconds, and because it's so fast, it's loud. And when you change the coefficient of friction, you don't get as loud a noise. So our hands, they're built for a lot of things, but snapping is one of them. And I'd never thought of them that way, but a new study shows that they are built perfectly for it. It must have been very important for us as we evolved.
All right, Dan Riskin, we always learn something interesting when we chat with you. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, the Toronto house that made headlines last week for its unusual offering price of $1 has sold. Century 21 Realtor says the three-bedroom detached home sold for $1.2 million. The house in the Danforth and Lawrence Avenue East area was on the market for less than a week. Now, of course, access to affordable housing across the GTA, it remains one of the crucial issues in this region. And a new Toronto startup hopes to address the crisis through a program that could help prospective tenants co-own spaces they hope to call home. Rob Richards and Daniel Dubois are the co-founders of Key Living, and they join us now live here on CP24 Breakfast. Rob, Daniel, great to talk to you. This is a fascinating concept. Could one of you sort of explain to our viewers what you're trying to offer people here, trying to get a sort of foot on the rung of the real estate ladder, as it were?
Absolutely. Key is on a mission to create a world where real estate is a source of freedom and prosperity for everyone. It now takes over 30 years just to save up enough for a down payment. 30 years. It used to only take a few years. And Key is creating a world where you can own a home years sooner without a large down payment, without having to qualify for and service a conventional mortgage. And you're able to be a homeowner with just around $15,000 from day one. Okay,
so Rob, it sounds a bit like fractional ownership. Is there a difference between that and the sort of traditional fractional ownership that we've seen before?
Yes, the foundational principle for Key is to use investor capital, have it work alongside our young people to lift them up on the property ladder, instead of what is now the case where it keeps them locked out and down and renting for much of their adult lives.
Okay, so Daniel, $15,000, what could that potentially buy someone? Because that's a much more reasonable sum to raise rather than the, $170,000, $220,000 some people need just to get into that 20% down payment range.
Absolutely. With $15,000, you can become a co-owner of a $600,000 condo.
Okay, so that sounds really intriguing indeed. Are there any potential issues here? I mean, if I am one of potentially, 50 or 40 other people who own a condo, who gets to decide what happens there? What if other people want to sell, but I want to hold? How does all that play out?
Well, no, it's really just two co-owners. It would be the investor. It could be a corporation, or it could be an individual that owns 3 or 4 condos. They attach their home to the Key platform, and then a single resident co-owner gets to occupy the home and be the other owner.
Okay, so you
really
can't have multiples. You don't
No.
have multiples then, is what you're saying.
Correct.
And so is the idea then that if I buy or buy in, as it were, that ultimately in a few years' time I have the option to buy the entire property? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. You're a co-owner from day one. So from your $15,000 initial contribution, you are a co-owner in the home in which you live. And after 3 years, you can choose to purchase it outright. And your initial investment is actually compounding in whatever value and appreciation the real estate market is going through.
It's interesting. Rob, what's the uptake been like on this so far? I mean, how many condos do you have available that people can buy these sort of pieces of?
Well, we're getting more and more all the time, and just a testament to how considerable the need is. We have over 3,000 people on our wait list, growing at hundreds per week.
Really? That is fascinating. So, Daniel, am I limited to just buying one, or can investors get in on this too, or do you have to sort of pledge somehow that you will eventually move to buy?
So Key is for the missing middle. It's for a generation that's been locked out of the housing market. We have frontline workers, we have entrepreneurs, we have architects and designers, software engineers, and everyone who lives in one of our buildings, everyone who lives in one of the Key suites is in fact a principal resident. It is the home in which they reside. If you're an investor, you can attach your real estate to our platform, but you can't buy 5 suites and then sublease them out. It's purely for owner residents.
And so is it the investor that's paying you, or is it the person that's buying the sort of smaller fraction of the ownership? I'm confused about the model there.
The investor pays us a monthly fee to attach their real estate. And for individuals, we charge a tiny, tiny transaction fee to keep our servers going. It's only 1% of invested equity. So your $15,000 investment, it's only a $150 fee.
Interesting. And Daniel, I think this really speaks to the sort of state of the real estate industry right now. I mean, we're seeing, double-digit growth almost on a month-to-month basis, it seems, in values of condos this year. Are you anticipating more people getting in on this sort of side of the business that you and Rob are working on now?
Well, we're seeing over 100 people join our wait list every week at a minimum. We have thousands on our wait list now, as Rob mentioned. We want to create a world where real estate truly is a source of freedom and prosperity for everyone, and we see ourselves attaching all different types of real estate to our platform. So one day, hopefully, you can move from a bachelor to a 1, 2, or 3 bedroom without a ton of buy-sell costs and being able to consume real estate incrementally on your terms.
All right, a really interesting and innovative model that affordable housing is such an issue for so many. Rob, Daniel, thanks so much for joining us here on CP24 Breakfast this morning.
Thanks for having us.
3, 2, 1, Mission. Liftoff. Falcon 9 with the DART mission.
And cue Aerosmith. Yes, NASA has successfully launched a spacecraft on a mission to smash into an asteroid. A momentous occasion indeed in the space race. Definitely a huge moment for Jesse Rogerson, Associate Professor at York University. We're so glad you're here this morning, Jesse. Thanks for joining us on CP24 Breakfast. I mean, everybody's talking about the comparisons to Armageddon and this DART mission here. As a scientist, though, what's happening here? Can you explain what they're trying to do?
Absolutely. One of the biggest questions I always get in all of the classes that I teach is, what's the likelihood that we're going to get hit by an asteroid, right? Mm-hmm. And there's all those movies that have been made. There's Armageddon, there's Deep Impact. And the truthful answer to it is it's a very low possibility, but it's not a zero possibility. In actuality, Earth gets hit by stuff every day, but it's all really, really small. What we're really worried about is those big things that can do a lot of damage. So if we're worried about this possibility, even if it's a small possibility, we should probably try and figure out some ways if we can maybe deflect, redirect, or prevent an asteroid impact.
But this so go ahead. Mission, go ahead.
Yeah, the DART mission is a test. The point is to fly out to an asteroid. This specific asteroid is a double system. It's a big asteroid with a little tiny moonlet around it. And what they're going to do is smash a spacecraft into the tiny moonlet to see if they can move off course that moonlet just a little bit around the bigger one, basically testing the idea if they can deflect an asteroid.
So in other words, this giant asteroid that they're heading for is not necessarily on a collision course with Earth, and we don't have to sort of start looking up and panicking.
That's absolutely correct. There's no danger from this asteroid at all. The double asteroid system is not going to pose any danger to us at all. It was chosen as a target because it has that little moonlet that they can attempt to deflect. And when they do the deflection attempt, it's going to be kind of close to Earth, so we can send some spacecrafts up to take a look at what's going on.
So what's the chatter like then, Jesse, in the science community about the likelihood that this is actually, potentially plausible, possible, could actually, change the course, and this could be the sort of plan we go to in that rare, unlikely event that it really could happen?
Well, we do talk about it. I mean, like I said, the chances of this happening, of a truly devastating impact, is really, really small. Mm-hmm. If you look out into the future and make predictions about all the asteroids that we know about, there's no chance of anything dangerous hitting us for at least the next 100 years, and definitely more after that as well. So the chances are small. We worry about it a little bit. We want to make sure we're prepared for it. So you do these tests where you try and figure out ways to deflect an asteroid if possible. But the real key here to this story is, yes, we need to know how to deflect an asteroid, but more importantly, we need to know how to find potential hazardous asteroids well in advance. What I mean by that is, if you see an asteroid, a huge one, flying towards Earth, and you find it like tomorrow, and it's like really close to Earth, there's not much we're going to be able to do about that. But if we find it 5 years in advance, then just small little impacts with an impacting spacecraft could make some changes. So not only do you need to come up with the tests, but you also need to continually watch the sky to look for those potentially hazardous objects, which of course we're doing. And that's what astronomers are really focused on, is all the telescopes around the world on Earth and in space that are constantly searching that sky, looking for any potentially hazardous objects.
Okay, that is certainly good to hear. Jesse, we've talked a lot about space lately in terms of space tourism. A lot of people putting their hands up on this morning program to sort of, go up, but it seems like Blue Origin is going to be taking Michael Strahan next. What's the significance now? You got a very big, popular, high-rated morning show host heading to, to the outer orbits of space, it seems.
So this is really fun. This is, again, showing that we're in a position now where our space exploration isn't just going to be professional astronauts anymore, that we've had space tourists in the past over the last 20 or 30 years or so, non-professional astronauts fly to space. But now we're in a position where we have multiple private companies that are able to offer this as a service, Blue Origin, of course, being one of them. And now people can just pay to go, even if it's exorbitantly expensive. Now, of course, Michael Strahan is a very popular person, and so Blue Origin's being a little bit smart here, and they choose a popular person to throw on their spacecraft for free because he gets a free ticket, and that really launches them into the media for us all to see and hear and see what's going on. But make no mistake, as we go forward, there's going to be more space tourism going on, which means hopefully the prices come down as the tech gets easier and more affordable. So maybe you and I will get to fly into space one day.
Hey, I'll be right there beside you, Jesse. That would be amazing. I really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for being here on CP24 Breakfast.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
It's time to bet on pets and maybe even get a pet of your own. Let's bring in OSPCA and Humane Society's Callie Millman for more furry fun, including a new holiday adoption program. And, oh my, do tell about Tinsel. This is Tinsel, the bunny rabbit, in your hands. You got to tell us more about Tinsel right off the bat.
Morning, George.
Morning.
Yes, this is Tinsel. She's an adorable lion head rabbit. She's only 1 year old. And as you can see, she's super snuggly, super cuddly, and she's looking for her forever home. And the home that would work best for her is a home where she's the solo bunny in the house. She prefers to be the only bunny around.
You know, that's important. Look, I actually had a pet rabbit for a very short time, years and years ago, while I had 2 small dogs. They were both, you know, like 10, 12 pounders, and they all got along. And we didn't, and we were, you know, I guess here's the thing. Rabbits, just like all sentient creatures, they have very unique personalities, right?
You got that right. Absolutely. And they do really make wonderful little companions. You know, you get to spend time with them every single day. And that really is important, is making sure that you spend the time to socialize with them so that they become nice and cuddly and friendly, just like Tinsel here.
So cute. You know, before we move on to the campaigns, are there unique particulars when it comes to diet, exercise, like general things, environment, when it comes to adopting a bunny?
Absolutely. And we have some amazing blogs on our website on OSPCA.ca where you can learn everything you need to know to care for a bunny. And yeah, you know, you make sure you get the right cage for them, the proper diet, the proper bedding. Tinsel's actually litter box trained, if you can believe that. So, you know, our team will get you set up for success so that when you adopt Tinsel, you're ready to go.
That's a bonus, because that doesn't always come with every pet, does it?
And that's right. No.
the potty training. All right, let's get right into it. Callie, the I Adopt holiday campaign. How does it all work? Break it down.
We're so excited, George, to yet again have our I Adopt for the Holidays campaign running this year, presented by our friends at Swiffer. And we're so excited to help all of the animals find loving forever homes this holiday season. You know, the holidays can be a great time to adopt because, you know, kids are off from school, perhaps you're taking time away from work, and you can really spend the time to integrate the amazing new pet and family member into your home. So finding a new furry family member this holiday season, all you have to do is visit iadopt.ca. Check out the website because all of the adorable animals are right on there. And, you know, George, there's another fun piece to this campaign that I love to let everybody know about, which is the contest. We have Ontario's cutest pet contest. And what you're able to do is if you've already got a pet at home and you're going, I want to show off just how cute my pet is, you want to, again, visit the website, iadopt.ca, put your pet on there, have your friends and family vote because there's going to be amazing weekly prizes, again, from our friends at Swiffer, and also a grand prize of $500 PetSmart gift card.
That's so awesome. And with the Shop, Pause, and Give, you're also helping animals in need too, right?
You got that right. So I'm just going to show off my sweater for you here, George. I'm wearing one of our amazing Pause and Give items. And this is my little cat sweater that says, I believe in Santa Paws.
Awesome.
You can check out our website, iAdopt. Go shopping. Proceeds from all of those incredible items go back to helping animals in need.
Awesome. We really encourage everyone to go and check it out too, because it's a great rewards program too. You'll get a whole bunch back, so it's a great exchange. Callie, always a pleasure. Real quick, just give us that information again. How do people log on to find out more?
Right at that URL you're seeing on the screen, friends, iadopt.ca. You can shop, you can adopt, you can do it all. Enter the contest, have some fun, win some prizes.
Callie Millman, thanks very much. Have a happy holidays. We'll talk soon.
You're sending a shiver up my spine, right overflow. You're bringing me closer to the edge of letting go. Oh, oh, you're just a hideaway, you're just a feeling. You let my heart escape beyond the meaning, pulling my head into the clouds. I'm floating.
That's multi-award winner Kiesza, and after a pandemic pause, she is back for the Bloor Yorkville Holiday Magic this year. Now listen, we wanted it to happen last year, but you know, pandemic vibes, but she's going to bring the vibe in the Yorkville Square off of Cumberland Road. It's all happening this weekend. Kiesza, it's so good to have you here. Thank you for joining us on CP24 Breakfast. That's one of my favorite jams, my girl. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm back in Toronto, which is amazing.
That is amazing. It's really good to have you here and to have you at the Bloor Yorkville Holiday Magic. What's going on? Tell us all about it. It's a family fun-filled event. Happens every year.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm playing two sets actually, a full show and also an acoustic set. I actually played a Christmas event for Canada 2 years ago, and I slipped my finger on the microphone and was literally bleeding for the the show and didn't even realize it.
We just want snow. We don't want blood showers.
I know, so I'm hoping that this time that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope not. My goodness, what a dramatic way to end that last performance, right?
Yeah, my tour manager won't stop talking about it. She's like, "Don't do it this year, please."
Kind of scary, girl. Don't be scaring us like that. Now you are a treasure.
Thank you.
As far as it comes to holiday magic all happening, how did this all magically come together? This energy between you and Yorkville?
I mean, I live in Toronto, and I've been away. I've honestly been a bit of a nomad during the pandemic, just trying to figure out what to do and where to go. And it's been really challenging. And I finally came back, and it just our teams just synchronized, and they reached out, and I was so happy to come out and finally get out and be performing again, especially for the holidays. It's my favorite season, so it was
right there with you. Right there with you, girl. And listen, last year you actually wanted to release publicly to all of your fans Not Coming Home for Christmas. We had to opt out for a YouTube video. One, will this be one of the singles that you play in your live set? Will it be acoustic? And also, two, tell us how this whole song kind of came together and it's kind of ode to the pandemic overall.
Well, actually, my friend Kalindo, who plays for Janelle Monáe, he's an incredible guitar player, and we've known each other since New York, since I was hustling the streets of New York.
Wow.
And during the pandemic, we were actually both out on the East Coast and quarantining, and we had been quarantining for a while, and he was just like, do you trust me to come? I'll take 3 COVID tests. And,
right.
Yeah, and so we took that was when things were really, really everyone was so scared and it was really crazy, and so we did so many tests to make sure, and then he came over and we wrote that. It was funny because it wasn't even at Christmas at the time. We ended up just writing a Christmas song because we were talking about how none of us are going to get to go home for Christmas because we can't travel. We were literally, we were trapped.
We were trapped, and that was the one thing. We weren't together, but we kind of were in that energy, kind of all together, right? Well, Kiesza, this all starts this weekend. Before we go, can you give us a little taste of what's coming up with Crave? You have about 10, 15 seconds, your new album. We are craving some Kiesza.
Crave, came out just before the pandemic dropped, and I'm really happy that I was able to put it out. Or actually, no, wait, what am I talking about? It came out during the pandemic.
I know. Don't worry, pandemic brain.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I had been working on it. Then the pandemic hit. Then I was like, should I still drop my album?
Yeah.
And I just realized it's such a positive album, and people were going through such a scary time. So I just wanted to put out all this positive music. So I dropped it anyways, even though a lot of people were postponing, and I ended up adding 2 deluxe songs onto the album. Ooh. Since we went into year 2, and it was really challenging to write and all that. I love to be in the room with people. There's just something about the synergy and the energy that you get in the room. So it's important for me to have that experience while making an album. So I didn't want to start my next album. So I ended up adding 2 new songs to Crave, which I'll be playing in the live set.
And
they're on the Crave Deluxe version. So,
well, we can't wait to see you at Holiday Magic. It all kicks off tomorrow, of course, through and via the Bloor Yorkville BIA. Thank you for joining us this morning, Kiesza. It's so good to see you. I'm glad you're making new music. We need more of your awesomeness because you're taking us higher than you ever have before. Get it?
Love you all. Love you so much. And thank you. I have lots more coming right in the new year.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and we'll take your song out here. This is CP24 Breakfast. That was Kiesza, and you're just a runaway. Oh yeah, just a feeling.